Tonight, one mystical creature will be chosen. Inside this ancient box are the names of creatures whispered about for centuries. Banshee. Somewhere in Ireland tonight, a woman is screaming, and she has been dead for over 1,000 years. They call her the Bean Sídhe, the woman of the fairy mound. You know her by her English name, the Banshee. But before you fear her, you should understand her. Because long before she was a scream in the dark, she was a goddess who refused to disappear. Picture Ireland before the churches, before crosses ever touched its hills. A green country ruled by a radiant ancient people called the Tuatha Dé Danann, beings of fire and old magic who fell, at last, to mortal invaders called the Milesians. Defeated, but not destroyed. The old gods did not die that day. They went underground, into the burial mounds and hollow hills the Irish call the Sídhe. In the dark beneath the earth, they shrank in memory, from gods into fairies, into whispers, into the Aoibheall Sea, the people of the mounds. One of them refused to fade quietly. She wrapped herself around a single bloodline instead, and made herself their shadow, their warning, their grief, given a voice. Her name was Aoibheall. She ruled from Craig Liath, the grey rock rising over the river Shannon, near a stronghold called Killaloe. From that cold height she kept watch over one rising family, a hard, ambitious sept called the Dal GKs. You know their descendants by another name now, the O'Briens. Aoibheall carried a harp strung with gold. Its music, they said, was the most beautiful sound a mortal ear could survive hearing, almost. Because whoever heard that harp play in the dead of night did not live long after. She never chose to curse the family she loved. She chose to love a family that could not be saved from dying. That was the exact shape of her devotion. She could warn them. She could never once stop it. And in the year 1014, her harp was about to play its darkest song yet. By then, a hard, weathered old warrior had done something no one in Ireland had managed in living memory. His name was Brian Boru, and he had risen from a minor Munster clan to High King over the entire island, the first man in generations to bend every rival crown in Ireland beneath a single will. But a man who climbs that high makes enemies just as tall. In Dublin, the Norse king Sigtrygg Silkbeard gathered Viking blades from across the sea. In Leinster, King Mael Morda raised his own banners against him. Old grudges, old marriages gone to poison, old pride curdling into open revolt. A war fleet of Norsemen and Irish rebels marched to meet Brian at a stretch of coastline called Clontarf. Brian was 73 years old, too old, some whispered, to still call himself a warrior, but not too old to see what was already coming for him. The night before the battle, Aoibheall came down from Craig Liath. She did not come to threaten him. She came, they say, the way you tell someone a hard truth, because you love them too much to let them walk in blind. Tomorrow, she told him, Ireland tears itself free of the Viking sword forever, and tomorrow you will not live to see it. One more thing, she told him. Whichever of his sons his eyes fell on first at dawn would be the one to wear his crown after him. Somewhere in that same darkness, her own heart was breaking too. She loved a mortal man, a Dalcassian warrior named Dunlang, and she begged him not to march. A fairy queen with power enough to bend fate itself for the ones she cherished. And still, against one stubborn man's pride, she was powerless. I will not hide behind fairy magic while my prince rides to war, he told her, and chose the shield wall over her arms instead. Some loves simply cannot outrun the battlefield. If a love that couldn't survive a shield wall already has you feeling something, stay close, because that same wall is about to close on a king too. Subscribe now. In this channel, every bloodline still has a scream waiting to be heard. Dawn broke. Good Friday, the 23rd of April. In the year 1014, Brian did not run from what he'd been shown. He did not hide from it either. They say once a man truly believes he knows how his story ends, he stops fearing the ending and starts walking toward it standing straight. He sent his personal guard away from his tent. Whatever was coming, he would meet it on his knees in prayer, not cowering behind other men's shields. At Clontarf, two armies broke against each other from sunrise until the light began to fail. Iron screamed against iron for hours without pause. The tide rolled in that evening and found the shoreline too crowded with the dead to reach the sand. Thousands fell before nightfall, Norse and Irish alike, drowning centuries of grudges in the same red water. And Brian's army was winning. His people were about to be free. But while the tide of battle turned, a fleeing raider named Brodir, a Manx Viking already running from a war he'd lost, stumbled onto an old man kneeling alone in a tent, praying. Unguarded, exactly as he had chosen to be. Brodir did not know, or did not care, that he had just found the High King of all Ireland. Brian rose to meet him, old, half-armed, but not out of fight yet, and wounded the raider even as the axe came down. It did not matter. The vision spoken beneath Craig Liath finished exactly where Aoibheall said it would. Somewhere in that same slaughter, Dunlang fell too, his fairy protection long since cast aside for pride, exactly as he'd promised her he would. If that landed the way it should have, hit like, because Craglia's harp has never once been wrong in over 1,000 years. Tell us in the comments, would you have thrown the cloak away too, or would you have let the fairy queen save you? Ireland was free that day. The back of the Viking age in Ireland broke at Clontarf and never fully recovered. But the man who bought that freedom never lived to see the peace he'd built. His son Murkad died beside him. His grandson Tuatha died on the same field. An entire dynasty, gutted in a single sundown. They carried Brian's body north to Armagh. For 12 days, all of Ireland mourned him. And above the Shannon, on that grey rock at Craig Liath, they say Aoibheall's harp played one final note that night, not a warning this time, a lament. Her voice joined an old tradition already ancient by then. One Irish mourners called the Caoniad, the keening. Grief turned into music, sung over the dead for centuries before that night. And for centuries after, she never left the O'Briens again. Generation after generation, her cry came before every death in that bloodline, exactly as the old storytellers warned. And in time, other great Gaelic families found they had their own Bean Sídhe too. The O'Neills, the O'Gradys, the O'Connors, the Kavanaghs, each family weeping for blood that was never truly gone from the earth, only waiting underground in the hollow hills for one more name to call. So the next time the wind rises outside your window in the dead of night, and just for a moment, you think you hear a woman crying somewhere out in the dark, I wouldn't go looking for her, because in Ireland, they never needed to ask who a Banshee was crying for. They only had to wait and see whose name was missing by morning.